Yolanda, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm really
And
happy to be here.
yeah, and congratulations on, I've heard the new piece. Is that
Thanks.
part of an album that's coming?
So that piece is part of this project that I'm doing for a subscription that I started last year. It's been almost a year now, and it's exclusively on Bandcamp, but I have plans to release it as a record. Hopefully next year. I still don't know, but the nice thing that I'm trying to do is to involve the subscribers into the project, asking them which songs they would love to be on a record, because at the end of the year, we will have 16 or 17 tracks, and that's quite a lot. So I will ask for their suggestions, like, okay, which tracks do you prefer? And I think it's very nice to involve people into the creative process this way. I really enjoy it. So yeah.
That's nice. And there are specific situations, if I can put it that way, in which you're going to record these tracks, I understand. Can you fill us in?
Yeah. So this album, these songs are recorded yeah, in specific at specific times of the month. So basically, I have this ritual because I think that art is really a spiritual practice. This is my experience, and I start recording every month with the new moon, and then I release each track on a full moon. And I really enjoy this ritual, and people seem to really enjoy it too. And usually I give instructions, right? So, okay, just listen to this track by watching the full moon if the sky is clear, and just release anything, or I just give little instructions each month, and each song is linked to a specific topic, but there is a story that I'm writing, and that links all the song. I really love concept albums and storytelling. I think that's very powerful. And what I'm doing, I'm spending summer in this mountain house now in Italy. And what I'm doing is I just go out to the forest every day. I collect flowers, I press them, and I create artwork that goes together with each song every month. And I'm sharing this collage together with the song as an experience. It's like I call this sonic and visual spells, because I think that music and art is really related to magic, and it has this healing quality to it, and this really power to create new realities. So what I'm doing, I am releasing each track on a full moon, and I've been enjoying the process a lot. And it's also like a good way for me to stay creative and keep releasing music, and learning, because every time I'm recording something, I'm learning quite a lot. I'm self-taught. I have a friend that basically back in 2020, he's like a great producer and mixing engineer. And I asked him to help me to learn remotely. Like we were having these Zoom calls every week, and he was teaching me how to, like, the basics, like how to mix, how to record. And then I kept going on my own, and it is a learning experience. I'm learning every day, every time, and not only about recording, but also about my voice. This project is all done with my voice. It's very, very, very experimental. And I'm learning so much about myself, my body, my voice, and all the things that the human voice can do, which are incredible. If you think about it, it's like it's an instrument, right? It's technology. It's incredible. So, yeah, there's a lot.
It sounds like a very solitary approach to the work, which
Mhm.
um, is a departure for you, at least in the past. You've fronted a band for quite some time. So what led to that shift, and what's that transition been like for you?
Oh, the band is actually still there. We are playing a concert in August, and we've been touring for years, like 10 years on the road. Europe, United States, everywhere, basically in the Western world. And the thing is, we were relying on mixing engineers and studios to record our music. And I reached a point where I wanted to learn and I wanted to be in control of my own music and creativity because after 2020 and lockdowns and being stuck at home, I was like, if I'm not learning now, I will have to wait, I don't know how many years to go back to a studio. And so this project, and also I have a project of piano ambient, which is very experimental. Those two projects were born because of that period, that specific period. And I was like, I really want to learn. I really want to be independent. And I really want to apply what I learned to all the projects I'm working on. In fact, I recorded and mixed and produced one of my band song, which is a Brian Eno cover that we just released a few months ago. And I was astonished, you know, how many things I learned just by practicing every single day, being at the computer, recording and doing experiments um, and thinking about myself years ago, not knowing many technical things and being in the studio, relying on other people and just telling them, oh, I would love to do this and that. I have no idea of how that is done. And now knowing things, that's like a completely new layer to my creativity. The possibilities are unlimited right now. And I still really enjoy working with other musicians and being in a studio. That's a beautiful experience. And I'm trying to balance the two things. So I have this solitary practice, yes, but at the same time, yeah, playing with a band, being in the studio, that's also fantastic because of the energy that it's created with the other musicians. And last year we were on a tour in Europe with my band, She Owl, and we were four on stage, which sounds incredible at the moment because with all like the disruptions and how much touring costs right now. Being on the road is very expensive, much more than it used to. But we were four on the road, a drummer, bass player, me, keyboard, everything, singing and programming and all that stuff, and a guitar player, which is also my partner. And it was a fantastic experience. And I really enjoy that. I enjoy both things. And it's like also, this is like part of me, and I've kind of these two souls, these two parts to me that one really loves and enjoys being alone, very introverted, very nerd, studying, researching all day long. And then this other part of me that is very extroverted, loves being on stage, loves touring, loves interacting. And I'm trying to just balance the two.
Funny you mentioned Brian Eno. Just last
Yeah.
night, I saw the new documentary
Mm.
about him that you may have heard. It's a generative film, which changes every time it's screened. But the version I saw, he talked about the critical self versus the kind of childlike, playful self, and how those two aspects of his ego are kind of in constant battle to such an extent that what he's had to do is find a way to put one aside, be the playful self, for example, first, but then consciously shift to the critical self, perhaps the next day or later on in the process to review the material. Do you relate to that approach?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Like the inner critic is always there, always like here somewhere, talking to you, whispering in your ear, and making you question everything. And I'm learning to just let her talk and just, all right, just yeah, I will just listen, but I'm not overwhelmed by that voice anymore. I used to be very, very, very like critiquing myself so much in the past, being very anxious about what I was doing. And right now, I'm much more relaxed. Really, I would say that my inner child is having a great time right now with all these things that I'm creating. And what I discovered, which is very, very interesting, is that the more I create, the more I share my work, the less this scary part of me, like this inner critic that can be really, really nasty sometimes, it just quiets down. It's like, all right, just do your thing, it's going to be okay. But what I've been reading, I've been rereading recently this beautiful book by this woman. Her name on Instagram is the holistic psychologist, and she is Dr. Nicole Lepera, and she wrote this beautiful book, How to Do the Work. And I was rereading it, doing lots of inner work, by the way, here on the mountains. With I have so much time, so and the thing is, she's talking about inner child and she's talking about the inner critic as well, and also ego, right? And how this inner critic, this part of our ego, is actually trying to protect us by critiquing us. It's not trying to harm us. It's like trying to protect us from failure, fear of failure, fear of, being, um, you know, uh, like saying something wrong, which is like a huge issue nowadays, saying the wrong thing, and we're just human beings. So it's very hard. We will fail, we will fall, and time after time. So the thing is, this once we realize this inner critic is just trying to protect us, and we're saying to him or her, like, okay, we're fine, we're all right, we don't need this, things will just calm down and it will be easier. I mean, this is my experience.
It's a kind of vulnerability we're trying to protect ourselves from, isn't it? That sense of harm that might come to us. But I imagine that that's more difficult for solo artists than it is for those in a group. As a writer, I experience that every day because I'm sitting alone with no one to bounce ideas off of. Um, there is something, though, extra intense from my perspective in the kind of work you do, which is the solo voice. I can imagine artists like yourself who make that music in the studio recording that. Your mind must race. I would think in terms of trying to keep a handle on what's working and what's not working.
Mm. So my process is actually very intuitive, and I have this approach to the work that is very, um, yeah, intuitive is the right word. It's like I have, after so many years, I have this knowledge of what I like and what I don't like. And the thing is, I don't think about anything else. When I'm in the studio, I'm not thinking about who we will listen to it, whether they like it or not. I just think, all right, how do I like this? Or is this working? Is this working? And that's the thing. And the more you detached from, using your rationality, and the more you go into the intuitive creative process, the easier it gets. So that's the thing. It's less here and it's more here.
There's aesthetically speaking, there's a kind of cleanliness to your solo work, a pureness, a purity to it, that I found quite striking. And so much of what we hear in electronic music or ambient music has a glitchy texture to it, which you've not, at least not yet, explored. Um, is that a conscious thing? You're looking for something different, or just happens that you haven't gone down that road yet?
I think it just happened. I'm not like a huge expert of electronic music and ambient music. I actually just started listening to it back in 2020 when I was doing my first experiments and someone told me, oh, this is ambient music. And I was like, all right, so let me listen to something. And I started learning. So I would say that it's not very, very conscious that, but yeah, it is more, again, linked to what I feel that works. It's like, I like this sound. And when you work with your own voice, it's very physical as well. It's like there's not much space for thinking. It is very like in your body. It's an experience that grounds you so much. So, and also the thing is that I'm not using words. There's no language that I'm using. And this is because I think that wordless music is more direct in a way. It goes deep down in an easier way. There's not this rational part of us that needs to translate and say, oh, what is she talking about? It is more direct. And um, I would say that goes directly to the heart. This is my experience with that. And what I'm trying to do is music that I would listen to, right? Like, okay, I would love to listen back to this. And this is basically what I'm trying to do. Um, yeah, but I'm not um, checking what other artists are doing and or trying to emulate or to find a sound that is that everybody's using or it's a very personal experience.
How did you get from She Owl to this solo work? What must have been something that inspired you or caused you to explore some curiosities in a different direction? How did that happen?
Yeah, that as I was saying before, back in 2020, we were living in Germany at the time, and we were visiting. It was February 2020. We were in Italy visiting my parents, and I was staying in my childhood home. And I have my piano is still there. I have this old upright piano, which by the way was a little bit out of tune at the time. I had a sound card and the microphone that I use for my live shows, just a Sennheiser, a dynamic microphone, and a computer, and a few cables. And I was in that house and I was stuck. I was stuck there. And we were just about to go to California to record a new album. And I was in shock. I was like, I was planning that for months. Really, we had our flights booked, everything ready. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? And what I did. So this, it's not very poetic, right? Because this project and my piano ambient project started because I wanted to learn. And I was like, all right, I will try a few experiments with my piano. I want to learn how to record piano. And then I want to learn how to record my voice and how to mix it. So I started with the piano. And I just had this one microphone, which was so funny because I had experience in the studio and I remember like, okay, we have all these microphones all around on the piano, stereo microphones, microphone for the room, microphone for the sustain pedal, another one here, another one there, 5, 6, 7 microphones. And I just had that one dynamic microphone and I was like, what am I doing with this? So what I did, And this also explains why I'm doing collage artwork. Basically, I took this one microphone and I was recording little parts, uh, like let's say on a higher octave, and then recording it and then moving the microphone down and then cutting and pasting what I was recording as a collage, like a musical collage, and learning how to mix my piano. And I was like, oh, this sounds actually good. I really like it. And at the time, what I did with that project, I basically just shared it on Instagram as 60 seconds snippets, right? And I asked friends from all over the world that were stuck in their homes to send me recordings of bird songs that they were hearing from their windows, or when they were going from small walks around their apartments. And people were really enthusiastic about that, because my aim with that was to create this connection with nature in a moment where nature felt very threatening. It was like, oh my God, what's going on here? So it was like reconciling, like, all right, let's connect to nature in a positive way. So this is how I started learning how to record piano. And it was very, like, really, my intention was I just need to learn how to do this. And the next thing was my voice. And this is how I started. And then I realized, oh, I can actually do a project with this stuff because it sounds crazy and weird and new and exciting. So I tend to go where I feel excited. It's like, oh, this project, I love it. It is very exciting. I will work on this. I don't know what will be of this, but it makes me very, very happy. So yeah, this is how it started, out of necessity.
Feral is the name of the first piece. What comes next?
I already released a few. Um, I am going to release another one in August. I still don't have a title for that one, but I hope to have it soon. Um, and what I'm trying to do with these new pieces, like this one that I sent you, Feral, is very, very, very ambient. It's very slow and atmospheric. There's lots of layers. And the thing is, there are something like 30 layers of vocals there. But the thing is, you just, by listening to it, I'm also like, did I record really 30 layers? Are they still there? Like, what it turns out to sound very minimalistic. And trust me, I don't know how I do that. I don't know. It just happens. There's so many layers, and then it sounds simple somehow. There's a simplicity, and as you were saying before, um, there's something pure to this project, and that is I can't control. It's like, I think it's somewhere in me. I don't know how I do it. So, but I'm also experimenting with sounds that are a little bit more intense. And I'm learning, and again, out of necessity, because I want to learn. My next goal is to learn how to mix bass in a cool way, because I'm mixing it, but I'm still not super satisfied. So I'm experimenting with bass and recording vocals and then just pitching them down a few octaves and turning them into this kind of low drones. I use distortion and I use compression and I use a few things, but it's a process. So again, I'm using these projects to experiment and to learn, and that's very exciting and fun.
Well, can't wait to hear the new work. Thanks, Yolanda.
Thank you. Thank you.